Well, hello, good morning. Welcome to American Reversion. I'm Steve Smith. How are you all today? As always, we have interesting things to talk about. Welcome to everyone. Welcome to all the new subscribers. Every morning I check and I see that quite a few more people are joining us here, both on YouTube and over on Patreon. We love having you here, and we encourage you to participate. Leave your comments. You'll find that we have some smart commenters, so after you watch the video, go ahead and read the comments down there. We're a pretty new channel, so we don't have as many comments as I do on the other channel, but we got some sharp ones, and so I hope that you will not only get something from the video, you'll get something from the comments, and I hope also that you'll contribute in that way. If you'd like to support the channel, we have a way to do that. It's you can just go down to a link down here somewhere and go to our Patreon channel and join us over there for $1 or whatever you'd like, and it sure helps, and we appreciate it. And in addition to that, before we get to the meat of the matter today, this is brought to you by my book, The Reversion, after which I named this channel, and my latest book, for those of you who are interested and have read the first four, The Blessings of Freedom. And that's really what we talk about. Those are both available on Amazon, paperback, and Kindle, under my legal name, Stephen C. Smith. Just put in the Stonemont series. These are number 1 and 5 of the Stonemont series. Yes, there are some to fill in the gap there of 2, 3, and 4. But read them in order, because you have to kind of do that to understand how the story is going. And it's about the collapse of America and the rebuilding of a new kind of America, the way that I think it should be built, and I think probably a lot of you as well. Okay, wow, where do we start today? Okay, Klaus Schwab says you're going to be chipped in 10 years, and some Dutch scientists have just found that you probably have plastic floating in your blood, and Marjorie Taylor Greene has called for regime change in, not in Russia, but in the United States. We can kind of see why, right? Luckily, fortunately, we have a peaceful way to do it. We'll see whether we're going to be successful at that. But what we talk about here sure makes it makes us wonder why we would even have to be concerned about being successful. Let's start off here. Okay, so President Joe, he's seeking twice as much funding for Ukraine's border than our border. He just put out a $6 trillion budget. I wonder why my phone's doing that. Well, doesn't matter. $6 million budget for fiscal year 2023. As part of the budget, where's this from? This is from Breitbart. As part of the budget, Biden wants to spend $682 million. Why would I even say thousand? I'm thinking, well, never mind. As part of the budget, Biden wants to spend $682 million on funding for Ukraine, which he touts as, quote, an increase of $219 million above the 2021 enacted level to continue to counter Russian influence and to meet emerging needs related to security, energy, cybersecurity issues, disinformation, those who disagree with him, macroeconomic stabilization, and civil society resilience. Meanwhile, Biden is seeking less than half of that, just $309 million in taxpayer funding for border security technology at the U.S.-Mexico border, while seeking $494 million, a lot more, right? 494 versus 309. 309 for enforcement, kind of. As opposed to $494 million to process border crossers and illegal aliens into the U.S. interior. Now, how do those words not fit together, okay? To process border crossers and illegal aliens into the U.S. interior. Why would you want to process illegal aliens into the U.S. interior. I mean, that in itself should be grounds for impeachment as far as I'm concerned, as far as I can see. You're not only allowing people come in, but you're paying them. Now, there's more to this story. We've fleshed this out a little bit. And it says that his budget plan spends billions in American tax dollar on lawyers for border crossers and illegal aliens. Let's see if they flesh this out a little bit. President Joe Biden's proposed budget includes spending billions in American taxpayer money on lawyers for border crossers and illegal aliens to help them fight their deportations from the United States. Okay, that's like you having caught a burglar coming in your window. You facilitate his entry. You assist him in. You don't stop him. You give him room and board. You give him something to eat. Let him use your bathroom. And then you call up the courts and say, just in case anybody makes an issue of this, I want to pay for his lawyer to defend him for breaking into my house. I mean, that's the kind of schizophrenia that is running this country. Not to make fun of any real schizophrenics. I almost asked, where did this come from? But we know where it came from, don't we? This has been a long progression. This has been, remember back, those of you who started when I first started this channel, I read the 45 goals of the Communist Party of the United States. Maybe I should read that again one of these times. But it has been a systematic and systemic destruction of the American system, of the American legal system. And we don't have to go, we can go a very well-known place and see where calling good evil and evil good is wrong. Isn't that correct? Well, interestingly enough, we have a story that kind of reflects that here too. We're going to get away from the border and we're going to get straight to race, because that's all of us. We have a big racial problem, don't we? Because somebody wants to say that we do. Well, it turns out that a Forbes contributor, that would be Forbes, a Forbes contributor says that white supremacy is to blame for Will Smith doing his little smacky poo last night. Did you all see that? Well, who knows? The Oscars have gone so far into the toilet. My first thought was they did this just to drum up controversy, to drum up talk, to get somebody to care about the Oscars again, since nobody except those who are sitting in that crowd care. Nobody cares about the Oscars. But these people, these little self-important people whose forte in life is acting like they're somebody they're not, acting out parts of people that they hold up as heroes or whatever, But, and I'm sure that there are a few genuine people in there and a few people who actually contribute, to society, but not many of them, to be honest. Most of them, as I say, you wouldn't let in your garage, let alone your house. So anyway, after that silliness that happened last night, Forbes contributor Maya Nigel Hoskin has written that white supremacy is to blame for the controversy over Sunday night's altercation at the Oscars in Hollywood when actor Will Smith, that's really all you should have to say about somebody to be able to judge whether their opinion is supported about anything. Actor, what does that mean? You're acting like something you're not. Okay. Actor Will Smith hit comedian, at least comedian. I mean, that's kind of, that's your own stuff, That's creative, that's funny, that's entertainment. Not where, okay, stand like this, you stand over there like that, and on the count of three, I want you to look angry. Wow. So for joking about Smith's wife And as we know, but they have to point out here that both men are black. Okay, I guess that does kind of figure. Hoskin, who focuses on diversity, equity, and inclusion for the publication Forbes, which I would not, DEI. I might switch that around and say diversity, inclusion, and equity, in which case it would be, the acronym would be DIE, which is what is happening to any country, any culture that embraces this ridiculous philosophy and allows it to be a driving force, whether it's in a small community, a small group, an organization, a business, a country, whatever it is. Everyone who embraces this sees themselves go down in the tank, either by reputation or in money or whatever, everything except in the eyes of their fellow justice warriors, social justice warriors. Okay, so Hoskin, who focuses, I'll get back to it, on diversity, equity, and inclusion for the publication, wrote an article on Monday entitled, "While talking about Will Smith's behavior, don't forget to also talk about the system that helped create it." So she says, perhaps the larger question that should be asked is why blacks in Hollywood have routinely been expected to grin and bear embarrassment and degradation without expressing any discontent or risk being viewed as angry. What? Pardon-moi, Miss whoever you are. Ever since Sidney Poitier, I think that black actors have been held up in extremely high esteem. They are always cast as heroes, for the most part. They are always cast as the thoughtful ones. Isn't that true? Who knows? I don't know where this comes from, this just grin and bear it type of stuff. She says, some argue that this is not about Will Smith and Chris Rock being black or Will Smith setting black people back. This is about a much larger systemic issue rooted in white supremacist culture designed to police the behavior of blacks amongst the who's who in Hollywood and beyond. I'll read one more sentence just to see if it enlightens us any further. Respectability politics suggest that equity and fair treatment require that black people, both inside and outside of Hollywood, conduct ourselves in a manner deemed acceptable to whites. What? So this so-called policing, she is maintaining that blacks are forced to conduct themselves in ways that are acceptable to whites. What, like not hitting people? Like not hitting people who, this has nothing to do with defending his wife. We know that. I mean, we know the situation between him and his wife, right? If you don't Google it, here's a guy who, doesn't mind if his wife is with other guys. And yet he's upset at this. This is, as another article that I happened to brush by, mentioned, this has all the marks of a cuckold who is just trying to show that he's really an alpha when he's really nothing more than a beta, because most actors are. They're people who do what they're told to act like other people. How much sillier can you be in life than that? Okay, we're going to move on from that. Klaus Schwab, a real danger. This is in the Independent Sentinel. And I will post this one I will put over on, I'll put the link to this on the Patreon channel and the link's down there if you'd like to go. Because it has a video on it of him talking that, he talks in French, but it has the the words up there. So in case you want to watch him. So he says, Klaus Schwab sees everyone microchipped in 10 years. When Klaus Schwab, the leader of the World Economic Forum and a Great Reset, talks about fusing the physical, digital, and biological world, he is also talking about microchipping everyone. First, microchips will be implanted in our clothes and eventually our brains or skin. Certainly in the next 10 years, everyone will be implanted with chips, he says. It will enable direct communication between our brain and the digital world. Once chipped, we don't need to do a thing to reach the digital world. It will be natural, notes the host. Schwab says, yes, you talk and you say, I want to talk and be connected with anyone right now. He goes, oh, wait. Did I just feel Charles wanting to talk to me here? First, you will have personalized bots with AI, according to Schwab. The robot will not only be your assistant for manual work, but it can be an intellectual partner for you. An intellectual partner for you. Okay, so I'm supposed to put an iPhone chip in my brain and be tied to the machines 24/7, and I can have robots for friends instead of humans. Great idea, Schwab. Get lost, says the author of this article. Well, you know, I put one up yesterday, I guess it was, or the day before. When was it? On one of the really scary scenario potentials for what could be coming our way in a preparedness way, and the chipping. You know, the thing that amazes me, and it probably does you too, and we haven't heard a lot about this lately, which means to me that they're judging people's acceptance of it, plus they're getting busy with it. And besides that, we know that there is something that has come out that may have already accomplished this with a large number of people, right? And we can't say what that is because, after all, this is America and we don't have free speech. And that's our right. It's our right not to have free speech, and aren't we lucky? But you know, remember when this came out and they made big deals about, I don't even remember what company it was. You can have a chip implanted which will replace your access badge. You won't have to access badge, and you'll be able to pay for your Starbucks by, you know, swiping your hand across something or other, and it was just amazing how many young people, you know, highly educated idiots, were all for the idea. Oh man, I'll do that. I'm for that. I won't have to carry a wallet. I won't have to do that. I won't worry about losing my credit cards. I won't worry about, well, you know, anything. I will exchange anything they say for not having to be personally responsible. Okay, so I will post this one up in case you'd like to listen to the Schwab man himself. Okay, you have plastics in your blood. You didn't know that, did you? Well, maybe. Chances are you might have plastics in your blood, and I'd say if there's any chance, that's something to be concerned about. Amsterdam, Netherlands. This is well, I'll read this, and then I'm going to read a little bit from the actual report itself. This is a news item, but then I'll go to the actual report, and I'll also post that over there. Amsterdam, Netherlands. Plastic contamination is something many people fear will destroy the environment. I know, you know, like me, you've probably been out camping and you've been out hiking in the woods, and you look at and you see some plastic bottle that some idiot has thrown in the stream, and it ticks you off because it's ruined nature. I mean, I didn't used to be like that, but I am. But I mean, that's bad enough. And occasionally we used to go down to the local creek and we'd take the kids and we'd all get down there with our gloves and our plastic bags and we'd clean out the creeks. It was kind of a community service kind of thing. And, you know, good for us, right? And good for you if you do it. So anyway, plastic contamination is something many people fear will destroy the environment, but a new study warns that it's also polluting our bodies as well. Researchers in the Netherlands have found plastic particles in the human bloodstream for the first time ever. The results reveal that these microscopic particles coming from the environment around us are being absorbed by the body. Absorbed how? and are entering the blood supply. Study authors at Vrije Universiteit Amsterdam, I don't speak Dutch, examined 22 individuals who anonymously donated their blood for testing. The team scanned each sample for 5 distinct polymers, which are the building blocks of plastic. See, I just went on as if I knew what that was, and I was explaining it to you. Actually, I was surreptitiously reading those very words down here, but trying to act smart while I did it. 3/4 of the group had plastic in their blood. This marks the very first time scientists have discovered actual plastic substances in a live sample of human blood. That implies they found it in dead samples of human blood. Maybe people were shot with plastic bullets. I don't know. Previously, scientists suspected that plastic was contaminating the human body, but those findings came from lab experiments. Okay. So what kind of plastics are floating through our bodies? Researchers found that the overall concentration of plastic in the human bloodstream averaged about 1.6 milliliters. That's the equivalent of a teaspoon of plastic in 1,000 liters of water, or 10 large bathtubs. It doesn't sound like much, but I don't want any plastic floating around in my blood. How about you? While 1/4 of the participants did not have any detectable signs of plastic in their blood, that's good news for them, but that leaves another 3/4. The remaining samples have several types, including polyethylene terephthalate, PET, polyethylene, polymers of styrene, and polymethyl methacrylate. Can you tell I'm not a scientist? We have now proven that our bloodstream, our river of life as it were, has plastic in it. Research leader and ecotoxicologist Heather Leslie said in a university release, this data set is the first of its kind and must be expanded to gain insight. Okay, I'll just go with that. You always put that at the end of a report, means we need to study this further, which means give us more money and we'll write another report. I'm going to go now to the report itself. And this is in Science Direct. The full-length article is titled, and I'll post this over on the Patreon channel. The title is Discovery and Quantification of Plastic Particle Pollution in Human Blood. I'll just read a little bit from the abstract. Plastic particles are ubiquitous pollutants in the living environment and food chain, but no study to date has reported on the internal exposure of plastic particles in human blood. Okay, if you've read abstracts, you know that they're pretty dry. Here I'll go to an introduction of the study. Measuring toxic chemicals in human tissues is invaluable in confirming exposure levels and driving public health protection measures. A human health risk assessment for plastic particle pollution is currently not possible due to lack of data in both toxicological hazard and human exposure. So they go on and they're saying that's why we studied it. Okay, if you are interested in that from a scientific view, you can go over to Patreon. I'll post this whole study. If you're just interested as a normal human point of view, we know that my son found out about this. I guess he heard me talking about it or something, and he had just bought a new case. He said, man, I just bought this new case of water. He carries a case of water in his car like everybody should, and or as everybody used to have should. Excuse me just a second. Okay, I felt a sneeze coming on, and I put on the sneeze button. Excuse me while I take this. I know you didn't want me to sneeze all over you. Well, we've always, say carry some water, right? We have known that there is a certain leaching that's involved from those plastic bottles, and who knows, anything plastic. That's why stainless steel or aluminum is preferred, and some people won't carry an aluminum because there's fears about that as well. But whatever it is, this now shows that anything in plastic has a potential to leak plastic into your body, into your bloodstream. Now, I don't know whether the study itself, let me rephrase that. I don't think that the study, I scanned it, I didn't read it really closely. I don't think that it said, that it talked about the entry. That how we get it. Do we inhale it? Do we get it, from plastic that we've drunk from or eaten from or things like that? But I would say that either one of those is probably a possibility. Staying away from plastics is probably a pretty good idea. Now, what does this all have to do with the way that our country's going? It's destructive, isn't it? It's destructive. All of these things. They're taking us farther and farther and farther away from natural living. They're taking us farther away from the way God meant us to live, aren't they? And as society continues to embrace these things, and as society continues to embrace those things that are destructive, whether it's plastics in the bloodstream, whether it's chipping people so that they don't have to pick up their phone, they could just think a phone call to mom or whoever, or whether it's destructive policies that destroy people and countries, the common thread that runs through there is destruction. Will we be able to stop this destruction? I don't think so. I mean, it's huge. It's everything. It's everything in our world. And I know that people in the past have said, oh, what's coming next? The automobile is going to destroy this or that, and the telephone is going to destroy personal communications and any number of things. But, and maybe to an extent that was true. I won't say that it's not. Would it be better if we were still, walking over to, Aunt Jane's to have a chat, or grandmother's house for some cookies, and she was still cooking on a wood stove? And I don't know, maybe that would be preferable. But you guys, people were able to live pretty good lives back then. But I don't know. But one thing that we do know is that we are surrounded by people who are trying to destroy us in one way or another. And we need to be aware of that. We need to fight back, and in order to fight back, we need to be aware. Anyway, let me know what you all think about these things. Let me know if you have heard more about these things. And because I'd love for anybody who's already studied some of these things, jump on and kind of fill in the cracks for us. I'll get back tomorrow with some silliness, some craziness, and whatever latest is going on, and where. And until then, remember, America needs a reversion. It needs you to be a part of it. So be a part of it and invite your friends to be a part of it. Y'all have a good day. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.